Welcome to Mumbai, the gateway to India. I'm Tim Harcourt, the Airport Economist, and I'm going to show you around this buzzing metropolis, where fame and fortune mingle with the mass of humanity. Mumbai is India's financial centre. It's a symbol of the country's rise in the 21st century and home to the stock exchange, company headquarters, plus modern-day Maharajas and slum-level poverty. Coming up, we'll discover the country's economic and digital transformation, find out where the opportunities are for your company in the new India, and learn about the local business culture from some of India's biggest companies. But first, let's take a closer look at why Mother India is on the rise.
India is located in South Asia. It has land borders with 6 countries, including China and Pakistan. New Delhi is the political capital, whilst Mumbai is the commercial heart of the country. India is the second most populous nation in the world with 1.3 billion people. 300 million of these people live below the poverty line. It's the world's 6th biggest economy, growing an impressive 7% a year, but the country is coming from a low base. Inflation has fallen to around 5%, official unemployment sits at 3.5%, but underemployment is a problem. Half of India's population is under the age of 25 and the labour market is teeming with young workers. The currency is the Indian rupee. India has 22 official languages, but the main ones are Hindi and English. India's major trading partners are China, the United States and the United Arab Emirates. The country's high-skilled, low-cost English-speaking workforce has helped build a budding tech industry. India's big exports are IT services and business process outsourcing to foreign companies. The agricultural sector employs the most people in India, but its share of GDP is shrinking. It's the world's biggest tea producer and the second largest producer of wheat and rice. Production of 2- and 3-wheel vehicles is also big business for India.
Prime Minister Modi's Make in India campaign promotes the country as a manufacturing and innovation hub. And it's working. It helped boost foreign direct investment by 46% in just a year and a half, creating jobs right across the country. I paid a visit to Mahindra & Mahindra, one of India's biggest diversified companies, to learn more about the opportunities in the new India.
There are 2 Indias that you see, India pre-globalization and an India post-globalization. So pre-globalization was all about controls, was all about dominance of a few industries. Post-globalization, India has actually merged itself with the global economy. So the traditional view of India being a country of snake charmers or elephants no longer exists. You know?
Where do you see the opportunities in new India for foreign companies?
See, India is a land of opportunities, right? If you have entrepreneurial skills and you are willing to partner, right? So you take automobiles, it's a big opportunity. You take aviation, it's a big opportunity. You take defense, it's a big opportunity. You take services, it's a big opportunity. You take mining, there are ample opportunities. You take infrastructure, that's actually a huge opportunity which is available.
When you're thinking about looking for foreigners to invest in India, are you looking for a test player who can build a long innings? Or are you looking for a 20-20 player who can make runs quickly?
A quick night stand may not work in India.
It's a test match.
Yeah, it's a test match. You've got to be in this thing. You have to be part of a growth story.
India has been a global player for centuries. The subcontinent sat on vital trading routes and dominated the world economy until the 18th century, when the British East India Company took control. India became the jewel in the British crown, a colony vital to the empire. During its reign, the British Raj built telecommunications, ports and rail networks to connect the country. But India's share of global GDP dropped from 20% to less than 5% in the colonial period. Britain ruled until Mahatma Gandhi led India to a peaceful independence in 1947. India became the world's biggest democracy. From the 90s, Manmohan Singh opened up the economy as finance minister. Unlike China, India built its own homegrown private sector. Companies like Infosys, Tata and Mittal Steel are now big players on the global scene. India engaged its skilled English-speaking workforce to become the world's lab and call centre. India has developed quickly in recent years. Rapid urbanisation and an emerging middle class are driving growth. The number of Indians living under the poverty line has halved in the last 3 decades, but still remains around 20%. By 2030, India is expected to be the 2nd biggest consumer market after China. Modern India is experiencing a digital transformation. The government is using technology to boost efficiency, create jobs, connect the country and improve the quality of life for hundreds of millions of people. This is expected to propel growth going forward and create opportunities for companies at home and abroad. To learn more about this digital transformation, I sat down with Telstra and Indian powerhouse Infosys.
The two companies have been working together in India for 15 years.
So Sundi, how is India different than other markets in Asia?
I think, Tim, India has a significant population that's under the age of 30, and it's a growing market with cultural and ethnic diversity, with different consuming patterns. And it's at the throes of leapfrogging technology. To give you an example, there's not a lot of fixed line penetration in India for a very long time. But with the advent of mobility, 3G and 4G, a lot more consumers. We now have about 200 million smartphone users, 300 million internet users who are still using mobile technology to penetrate. And I think that's a great opportunity for businesses to latch on to the digital era much faster than any other market. And that's why India is different.
Are we seeing the rise of digital India?
Absolutely, we're seeing a rise of digital India. I mean, people have read in the news about the demonetization drive that's going on. That's really driven, online banking, mobile banking, and the much more embracing of the capabilities in India. And that's really driven towards digital India.
And Andrew, how has the startup scene developed in India?
Well, it's been massive. I mean, there's over 20,000 technology startups in India right now, 9 unicorns in the environment. And there's wonderful sponsorship from the government, but also from businesses. So even when I look at what Infosys is doing, we have our corporate university, which has got an incubator for startups. We've got investment funds that are helping startup companies, and there's other companies doing that as well. So it's a very proactive environment. Funding's available, opportunities available.
We hear a lot about the Indian government's program for smart cities, creating 100 smart cities in India. Can you tell us a bit about how that works?
The Smart City program is a fantastic initiative driven by the Indian government. These 100 smart cities are digitally enabled smart cities. They're creating environments for communities, looking at health, looking at safety, looking at education, looking at transport.
What other opportunities are there across the economy in India?
In the business to consumer, how can we use technology to really encourage those populations that live in rural communities to be able to utilize financial services? It's a great opportunity there. Opportunity to help farmers in terms of being able to sell their produce at market rates, utilizing technology. So there's a lot of opportunities in the business to consumer space. With the burgeoning middle class and the disposable income that's being generated in India, there's a need for convenience-related services. In the business-to-business space, enterprises are driving digital transformations, and organizations who've done this in the past can really jump in and assist them. We're in the market, having those conversations, and I think, really Australian firms that have spent a lot of time in urban planning and so on can really help with smart cities concept as well. So great number of opportunities across the country.
And Andrew, from an Indian company's perspective, what are you looking for in a foreign partner?
It's not about capital. It's about bringing in those unique products and services. It's about experience, and companies that can bring in experience, maybe strong education backgrounds that can help transfer skills and knowledge into the Indian environment, make great partners where they can build trust around particularly products or services that are not already available in the market. That's that education and that experience, and of course employment opportunities as well.
India is on track to be the third biggest economy in the world by 2020. Its budding IT industry is well known, but it also has strengths in aviation, in automotive, in defence. It even has its own space industry. But there's also a skills gap in India.
Only a quarter of Indians receive a higher education, as domestic institutions struggle to meet rising numbers. That's increasing demand for education from overseas providers. I sat down with the Australian Consulate General and the UNSW India Country Director to find out why your business needs to be in India and where the opportunities are.
India has an aspirational class. In today's world, it's very difficult to shut things out in terms of what's happening around the world. Young Indians, middle-class Indians are seeing the extraordinary developments taking place all across the globe. There's a sense of impatience to catch up.
Tony, in the new India, where do you see the opportunities for Australian companies?
There's education and services surrounding education, tourism. Tourism and education alone are doing double-digit growth. Other areas in the medium term that I'd like to mention includes financing and infrastructure. India's population is average age 27. Massive need for growth in infrastructure just for people to move around.
Now, India has a famous reputation for its technical and engineering institutes. So in terms of education, what skills is it looking for from Australia?
If you look at the statistics, and if India were to meet the gross enrollment ratio of 30%, which the government is talking about, by 2020, over the next 2 years, we are going to have 14 million new students entering the tertiary education sector. I think Australian education system offers significant opportunities for India.
Up next, we teach you how to take on this economic superpower and immerse yourself in incredible India. Well, welcome back. When I started coming to India 25 years ago, you really struggled to get around. These days, government assistance plus physical and digital infrastructure improvements are making it easier and easier for foreign companies to operate and do business here. India is notorious for red tape and can be a complex market to navigate, with local regulations, business practices and consumers differing across the country's diverse states. Invest India is here to guide you through the process and help you start doing business here. This government body can assist with local approvals, connect you with the necessary officials and help you overcome any problems on the ground.
Nishith Desai is a Mumbai-based lawyer. He says it's getting easier for overseas investors to access the Indian market.
For basic foreign investment, okay, you do not require any approval. That almost 90 to 95% of the sectors of economy are open to foreign investment up to 100%. So it is legally not required, I would say, in at least 95% of the sectors of economy to have a joint venture partner.
What are the first steps a new entrant should take when setting up in India?
So first thing you can do is to set up a company in India, number one, and make a small investment to incorporate. Now you can go in the market and see, do I need business partner local? So you have some time to even find out. It is not like some countries where you have to start with a local partner and then get into the business.
Exports come from all industries and are not limited to food, wine and manufactured products. The state of South Australia has become a world leader in water treatment and capacity building, and it's taken this expertise to the world. Countries like India, China and the US are after its research and reuse technologies. In Adelaide, I caught up with the state's advisor on water opportunities and Hydrodis, a company selling water management systems in India.
In India, we're working with the Rajasthan government to establish a centre of excellence in water resources management. That centre of excellence is going to look at research partnerships, capacity building partnerships and industry partnerships to get the best localised solutions for the communities in Rajasthan.
So Mark, tell us about the unique technology that Hydrodis has developed.
Hydrodis has developed a technology that allows us to disinfect water without the need to transport, store or handle dangerous goods. It's a system that is dual disinfection and allows us to disinfect the water and then produce a residual of free chlorine. The kill effect is the same as UV or ozone, with the benefit of a residual of free chlorine in one process.
And Carleen, how are government initiatives in India creating opportunities for South Australian companies in this space?
Well, through the development of the Centre of Excellence, we're connecting South Australian businesses with Indian businesses through memorandum of understandings. The Confederation of Indian Industries has a memorandum of understanding with our Water Industry Alliance. Members of our Water Industry Alliance, such as Hydrodis, are accompanying trade missions where we're introducing them at the highest level to the decision makers in the Rajasthan government that are making decisions about what technologies they'll use in the future.
Mark, you've been to India on a trade mission with the South Australian government. How's this created opportunities for your company?
The benefit of being part of a trade mission with the South Australian government has been that they've opened doors where we wouldn't have even found the street that door opened onto. We've sat around boardroom tables with the heads of water boards and ministers that we know they exist, but how we would have found them and got to them would have taken years of work, whereas the government's program has fast-tracked that for us and really allowed us to get onto the front foot with taking our technology to the world.
ArtLab Australia is a South Australian government agency that exports its conservation services around the world. It preserves works of art and historical items across Asia, including a historic Indian sari worn by Indira Gandhi. I caught up with Andrew Durham in his Adelaide studio to find out how to export creative services to the region.
We work quite hard to make contact with to network with our colleagues overseas, but also with our colleagues here in Australia. So the heritage architects who are doing fabulous work in Hong Kong or in Penang and in India. So often we're recommended as the conservators.
I was with you in India when I saw the sari for Indira Gandhi.
Yeah.
What are some of the interesting projects you've done?
This was the sari that Indira Gandhi was actually wearing when she was assassinated. So it's very macabre, of course, but nevertheless very special. And about 3,000 people a day visit the Indira Gandhi Memorial Museum to see it. Other interesting projects in India include just a couple of years ago in Nagpur, which is right in the dead centre of India, the Ambedkar Museum. Now, I don't know whether you know about Ambedkar. He was he's considered the father of the Indian Constitution.
You've been very successful in Macau, Hong Kong, Malaysia, India, Shandong province in China. What advice would you give for other cultural exporters looking to sell services overseas?
Well, I think we've got to be as broad-looking as possible to look at all the opportunities and to see what opportunities there are and build up relationships. But equally, then you've got to sort of focus on the specifics and concentrate on a specific project. I think that's what my advice would be.
India gets in all your senses, and it's full of colour and vitality. A country to be enjoyed, but also respected. Here's what I've learnt from my trips working and teaching here. India is culturally and economically diverse. It's a fragmented market with different ethnic groups, religions, languages, and customs. What happens in Mumbai is very different to Chennai. This is a land of extremes. Prepare yourself for the contrast of great wealth and vast poverty. India is united in its love of cricket, and as an Australian, this is a good topic to bridge the cultural divide, in the boardroom or in the street. On a visit to Mumbai's cricket stadium, I was literally mobbed by friendly locals keen to talk about cricket stats from my home state of South Australia.
I checked in with the Grand Hyatt to learn more about operating here in Mumbai.
I would suggest a foreign business traveller to be patient, respect the local culture, and when moving around in the country, perhaps use a hotel car with an experienced driver rather than using a Uber or a similar service, because getting around in our cities can be a little bit challenging at times.
Are there any guidelines to follow when entertaining clients or partners in India?
I would recommend to avoid ordering beef or pork. A lot of Indians are perhaps vegetarians, and a lot of them don't drink as well. So it's important to be mindful of these aspects. And I think to add, if one knows some local phrases or like a namaste, or if you can speak a little bit of a Hindi phrase like "Aap kaise hain," which basically means "How are you?" I think that also breaks the ice, and Indians would appreciate that.
Now, in India, I always noticed namaste. Is it okay for a foreigner?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, it's not religious, so it's absolutely fine.
Is it done as a greeting, as a goodbye, or a good luck? Or
it's mainly done as a greeting, but it's also done as a goodbye as well. And Indians love it if you do it.
Food's a great part of the culture in India. Can you tell us a bit about the choices of dishes in India?
There is an endless variety of food on offer. You're definitely correct that it's a very big part of our culture. At the same time, as you travel through the country, there is a big variety of food, and the taste changes from one state to the other pretty dramatically. My personal favorite is, of course, food from the north of the country, where I am actually from. So the grills and the tandooris and the kebabs are my personal favorites.
We are following Australian natural health company Blackmores throughout the series and their journey into Asia. Blackmores operates in markets around the region, selling online through local distributors, television shopping, and in its own flagship stores. Let's find out how they select new markets and successfully start doing business.
First of all, you've always got demographic trends, you've got the emerging health needs, You've got issues such as, where is that country at, whether it's the role of complementary medicine in there, what training level is required. Issues such as, how does brand Australia resonate there? Does Australia have a strong trading relationship? And even issues such as, regulatory, like how hard is it to get in there? So usually it's a range of all those factors, and you compare them against your other opportunities to select what comes. And then on top of being as scientific as you want that way, you could just get this amazing walking opportunity of a local partner, which trumps all of those situations. So it's a real range of factors. No one factor would rule the day.
Is it often easier when you enter a new market to team up with a local partner?
It absolutely is. It takes so long to get under the skin of the consumers to understand where things are at, what's important. The regulations are usually really, really tricky, and it's impossible just to read the code and do a desktop audit like that. And again, you need a win-win situation where, for example, we bring research, we bring education, we bring training, we bring formulations, someone with really good distribution and a good knowledge set and a passion for natural health and understanding of the market. That combination is what's needed. So to do it on your own would take a lot of time and a lot of money.
And how do you find a local partner or local distributor in the first place?
Well, there's no set rule. There's a few different ways you can do it. So in a lot of countries, Australia, it's an amazingly successful matchmaking service. They can help you and introduce you to the right people. Otherwise, there's quite a few international distributors who are in a lot of countries. If you're lucky enough, they've also got a good footprint that can work. Otherwise, it's just luck.
India's a massive place, like Indonesia, like China. So do you make a decision to go into a certain city first before you go to the rest of the country?
Usually for a mega market, you would actually just go to a few cities first. And the reason for that is you'd be biting off more than you can chew. Some of these mega cities are the population of Australia in themselves. So it's more than enough to feed on, and it's more than enough to do initially. And you make a lot of mistakes, and you want to actually have a few practice goes before you then roll it out to other cities. So you will be stretched too thin if you try to do mega economies, like China, India, or Indonesia, the whole thing in one go. You just wouldn't be able to pull it off.
Well, thanks for joining us on this colourful tour around Mumbai. India for work or play is a life-changing experience. Let's recap what we've learned about doing business here. Don't be overwhelmed by the size and energy of India. Get advice, plan your logistics, and India will work for you. Respect the diversity, religion, and local cultures across India. Consider a local partner. They bring valuable experience and can fast-track your entry into this complex market. Be patient. Local approvals take time, and negotiations with Indian partners or clients may be slower than at home. Contact your country's trade agency and Invest India for help before you leave and here on the ground. They'll give you good business advice in case you find yourself on a sticky wicket. Enjoy the culture. Visit a Bollywood set. Go to the cricket. It's a life-changing experience, and also will help you connect with local partners or clients. For more, head over to our website, theairporteconomist.com, where you can watch extended guest interviews, discover exclusive offers from our partners, and find out where we're flying to next. Cricket, curry, and Commonwealth, India has it all. Enjoy yourself, and I'll see you next time. I'm Tim Harcourt, and I'm the Airport Economist.